Hello and welcome to the Blockchain Startup Show. I'm Pooja Jain. In today's episode, we're delving into the world of decentralized data storage, a crucial component of the blockchain ecosystem. Joining us is a visionary entrepreneur who's revolutionizing data storage with a decentralized approach. Please welcome the founder of Lighthouse Storage, Nandit Mehra. Nandit, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us, and for sake of some context setting, what inspired you to delve into the world of Web3 straight out of college?
Yeah, so during the college time, I went to this hackathon in the US at MIT and met some folks at the MIT Bitcoin Club. And at that time, I found the technology quite fascinating. And after talking to them, I was like, oh, people at MIT are talking about blockchain technology. So I need to do something in this space. So when I came back in India, started learning more about it. And I thought, okay, straight out of college, that I need to work in this technology. And before starting Lighthouse myself, I was working with a blockchain company. Once it was in Delhi, and then another one based in New York as well. But then I always wanted to start something of my own. So the one thing I did after like my previous job was to start working on open source technologies, because that's just like free world of computer and code. So I started contributing on the open source technologies, and then later on made a whole shift to start Lighthouse on my own.
So tell us, who is Lighthouse Storage for? And what specific issues within the realm of decentralized storage are you attempting to address and resolve?
So at Lighthouse, what we are building is a perpetual file storage protocol. What does that mean is that you can store your data long term with just one time fee. So rather than paying a provider like Google Cloud, Google Drive every month, you can use Lighthouse to store your data long term. And in a way, you can imagine Lighthouse as a beacon for protector of your data. Right now, most of our users are developers and projects building blockchain projects like NFTs and who want to store their data long term. But our long term plan is to get this decentralized storage in the hands of even normal users.
I'm curious, why the name Lighthouse Storage?
In a way, when you imagine Lighthouse, it's like a tower with light, keeping an eye over let's say a sea with ships. So it's like you can feel it as a protector. So that's why how we feel is Lighthouse is a protector of your data, like the user's data, and it's there for you.
How would you say storage on Lighthouse Storage is different from that on other platforms like Arweave?
Lighthouse, when you store your data, there's a cryptographic guarantee that every 24 hours a storage provider gives you. Like every 24 hours, they have to give a proof that your data is there. And if they don't give back a proof, there's a big economic penalty to those storage providers. So I would say that your data has more guarantees of storage, and also the storage cost is almost half of what the current alternates like Arweave is offering. And then with Lighthouse, not just you can store your data forever, you can even store it for a couple of months to many years. So it just opens up to like more use cases and more like possibilities of where we can use Lighthouse for storing the data.
Given that every transaction has to be paid for by a user on Web3 tech, how does Lighthouse Storage achieve that persistent storage?
So with Lighthouse, what happens is when you pay for a file, you pay some upfront fees as well. So that upfront fees go to a smart contract based endowment pool. What does that mean is like you can imagine it a autonomous piece of code that holds funds in a fashion similar to university endowments. So with that endowment pool, we are able to pay these storage providers. And before the term deal with these storage providers ends, Lighthouse rewards these storage providers again to extend your storage deal length. And this happens till indefinite period of time.
What does Lighthouse look like, say, 5 years from now?
Yeah, so I think that's a very good question. I would say even talk about the medium term as well. First of all, like in 1 to 2 years time, we want Lighthouse to be a great open source project which attracts developers across the industry to join in, go through our, let's say, code at GitHub, contribute and be part of creating this product. So there's a very important line that if you want to go fast, go closed source, but if you want to go far, go open source. So that's what the philosophy at core we are building Lighthouse for. And long term, the vision is we are building this as a very important technology, which is decentralized, censorship resistant, lower cost, and offers the value of storing your data long term. So how can we take this to the hands of masses where this technology is on everyday's man's like mobile phone and on your laptops? So that's what the focus is in next 5 years time.
You use Filecoin very extensively. Why Filecoin, and how have they enhanced the experience?
Lighthouse, we have this whole software layer to interact with Filecoin. So underlying the Filecoin network has the whole hardware network, which we connect to. And the good thing about that hardware network is it has already amassed around 13 exabytes of storage capacity, which is like around 10% of capacity of AWS, and which has also led to not just get storage miners from just one place, but around 3,500 miners from all around the world, which is I think pretty huge. And given that it has done that in just like few years time. And the interesting thing with Filecoin is that you need not need anyone's permission to just go and ask that, okay, can I use your storage capacity? It's an open network. So that's why when we were building Lighthouse, we decided that, okay, Filecoin is the perfect underlying layer to build that. And another thing that helped us a lot is Filecoin has a robust ecosystem of apps and developers that we can not just, test our product with, but those can also be our potential customers down the line.
What are some of the early wins for Lighthouse storage? And are there any use cases in particular that have surprised you?
Yeah, great question. Again, with us, I would count some of the early wins as something as simple as, getting a team, which we have, which I'm totally proud of, and getting that team committed to this mission of building decentralized storage and taking it to the masses. And then parallelly, like our beta is already out. Some of the like top projects in the Web3 world, like Ocean Protocol, which is building a data marketplace, they are already out there, like in the market from last 4 or 5 years. They are already using Lighthouse, which is great. Some of the layer 1, layer 2 blockchains, which is like a whole blockchain platforms, they are storing their whole blockchain state data on Lighthouse. So it's like completely independent blockchain platform storing the whole data on Lighthouse, which is pretty huge for us. And then a lot of NFT white labeled applications are minting their full NFT collections on Lighthouse. So we have, in a very short period of time, amassed a big amount of data, millions of objects being stored on Lighthouse, which is pretty great. And one important thing that we did recently was to launch even a privacy layer. So what does that enable is on this public open blockchain networks, which were primarily designed to store just public data. But most of us know that we want to store our private data and even personal pictures on storage systems at a lower cost and make our memories stay there for just longer period of time. So for that, at Lighthouse, we even end up building a privacy layer and made it open source. So it got a very wide adoption from the wider community. And even we come across projects building all across the world from US, UK, and who end up building on those technologies. So we are very proud of those.
We've just scratched the surface on this exciting topic. And in our next segment, we'll continue our conversation with Nandit Mehra, the founder of Lighthouse Storage, to explore the future of decentralized data storage and its impact on the blockchain ecosystem. Welcome back to the Blockchain Startup Show. We're here with Nandit Mehra discussing how decentralized data storage is shaping the future of the blockchain industry. You've worked with both Lumos Labs and Builders Tribe. How is the ecosystem support that you've received?
With both Lumos and Builders Tribe, we have had a great experience because Builders Tribe has been a great partner to us from last 2 years, Builders Tribe have organized events all across the world, in Singapore, in Dubai, in New York, and San Francisco, and our team has actively taken part in that. Not just it has helped us to get access to more investors, to more projects, but also to get more awareness about Lighthouse out there in the market, which is perfect. And even Lumos Labs, we connect to them for various work, and whenever I need to connect to a project, I just come out to those guys, and they are pretty helpful to connect, because I think they know everyone out there in the industry, so they are quite helpful, I would say.
How does your company stay updated with the latest trends and innovations in the decentralized web and data storage sectors?
Again, innovation is definitely at the core of our heart, and at the core, all of our team members and me personally, I am a builder at heart. So what we spend most of our time is innovating and building and learning what's coming out there in the market. So for example, recently there's this technology coming up called as ZK, which is zero knowledge proof. Again, like quite, I would say, a technical term, but again, we as builders, we just go out and just try it, build something, and learn what others have done with it. And again, chat gpt is a great tool to just get yourself ahead of the curve. So just those early experiments, and then passing on it within our key team members who can build something more tangible out of those early stage experiments is what keeps us ahead of the innovation.
Now, data ownership and control are significant concerns here. How does Lighthouse Storage empower users to have greater control over their stored data?
So with Lighthouse, as I mentioned, most public blockchains don't allow you to store public data. Like you can do that, but then you have to manage your encryption on your own side. But with Lighthouse, we use a very interesting technology called as threshold cryptography. What it essentially allows you to do is store your data in an encrypted form on the decentralized web without you managing the keys to the file. So for example, if you use something like Google Drive, you never even touch your encryption keys. So something like that similar happens to Lighthouse as well. But the interesting part about our implementation is that your keys is not stored at just one server. It is splitted and sharded across 5 different nodes. So it's not just one single entity storing your data, and that reduces risk a lot. Like if Google goes down, all your data can go down. But with Lighthouse, the fact that your keys is splitted across 5 different nodes, you can imagine like your bank account password, or let's say your email password, which is like splitted and it's stored at your 5 different locations, one at your home, one at your friends or parents home. So imagine it like that. So I would say it is very secure as compared to any centralized cloud out there. And another interesting fact about our implementation is even specifying which location to store your data. So with Make My Trip, I think there were recent concerns that 49% of ownership is now with some Chinese entity, and people are concerned that where the data is being stored, is it in India, or who is controlling the data? So with Lighthouse, with like this increasing concern of data ownership and data location, we help businesses and users solve this problem where wherever you want your data to be stored, you can do that. If you are an American client, you can store that data on American soil. If you are an Indian business and an Indian client, you can store your data on Indian servers. So I think that's a very great innovation. And the fact that we can prove that cryptographically, that just changes the whole game of data storage.
What challenges have you faced personally in building and growing a company in the decentralized storage space? And how have you gone about overcoming them?
Yeah, certainly. I think that's always a tough question to answer, because challenges are always part of the journey and we have to overcome them in some way or the another. But I think one important challenge for me that we've been always working towards is what's our long-term goal here? Like why we are doing this at the first place. So just keep defining our long-term goals and making sure that we are on the right path and that we are here for the right reasons to build a technology which becomes a public good and values the masses. So defining that mission at start is always a challenge, but as you talk to your users, as we have done already, and then like just keeping our eyes and ears open that what our customers want, and then refining our mission towards it. So I would say that's a challenge that we had initially, but then slowly overcame.
And how does the pricing model, Nandit, work at Lighthouse Storage? Is it suitable for individuals, small businesses, and larger enterprises alike?
So our pricing plans offer two ways to pay. One is an annual plan where you can pay for Lighthouse storage once a year, and one is a lifetime plan where you can store your data by just paying once and like store it like long term. So ideally it can be relevant for even small businesses and like even individual users who want to store GBs or terabytes of data, but it also extends to large enterprises who are interested to store hundreds of terabytes, petabytes, or even bigger capacity of data. So we are making sure that we have the right interface to onboard these users. When we say data, you can just call it in general like an object. So that object can be anything. That can be an image, that can be a text file, that can be a video file, and you can even stream like 4K videos out of it. So all kind of data types are supported. So for a normal user, that could be everything that you have on your iPhone or your Android phone or even your laptop, every data.
Can you share some trends in the Web3 space that you see evolving going forward?
Yeah, I think one trend overall, not just in Web3, but overall, I see that plays in our favor is increasingly people are concerned where their data is being stored. As we have seen in Europe with this GDPR laws, you cannot run a business there if you do not comply with those laws. You have to have European customers' data and privacy laws followed and the data lying in Europe servers. And similarly, in India, there are concerns on that Indian government want Indian users' data to be stored in India. So I think this trend plays in our favor because using our technology, businesses and users can geolocate the data that where it is stored and easily comply with the laws. So I think this long term, and there's a trend shift towards privacy all across the world, that just makes what we are building much more valuable.
What does massive success look like for Lighthouse Storage?
One important thing is that we want it to become a great open source project where not just Lighthouse team controls it, but there are independent set of teams and developers contributing to building this product. So when that happens, we can go very far. And then another important part is that this is a very sophisticated and important piece of technology. So how do we get it in the hands of everyday consumer out there? Like how can we get in the hands of 1.4 billion Indians out there? So I think that's what keeps me excited at night. And that's what I want to see in like 5 to 10 years time.
Any words of advice for individuals early on in their career or perhaps straight out of college that are considering starting a business in Web3?
If you're a student who wants to enter a Web3 space right after your college, I would recommend start working with open source projects. You need not need anyone's permission. Just imagine if you were able to just read through Facebook or Google's whole code source and contribute to it. Wouldn't that be great? But yeah, you cannot do that obviously because their code is open source. But in Web3, the code and the technology underlying it is all open source. So I think that's the best place to be. You can just go there on something like GitHub, read code of a technology like Ethereum, and then contribute to it right away without anyone's permission. So I think it is a perfect place to experiment, start learning, and then maybe get some team members with you and take part in some hackathon and win some prizes, and then either join a Web3 company like I did at start, or then later on start your own startup.
Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of Blockchain Startup Show. Stay tuned for more exciting blockchain innovations in our upcoming series. Thank you for watching.